You're watching This Week in Louisiana Politics with Fred Childers.
Good morning, I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. Well, the governor has called lawmakers back to Baton Rouge for a limited special session this week. The objective is to tackle a small part of the insurance crisis that some hope will bring more companies back to the state. Capitol reporter Shannon Heck breaks down what we can expect from this session.
After hearing the plea of the state insurance commissioner, Governor John Bel Edwards called legislators back to the Capitol to help put money into the Insure Louisiana Incentive Fund.
We need to fund these incentive grants and enable those companies to take this money to the reinsurance market sooner rather than later.
The special session is narrowed to only allowing the movement of dollars from the current year's surplus money into the incentive fund. The fund can't be altered, which was passed unanimously last year. It'll allow grants to be awarded to companies to write policies for homeowners, with some rules of how much they have to write and where, with half of their policies required to be below I-10.
What Donald is doing is a temporary fix, but we as a legislature and his department, need to come together and to figure out a more sustainable solution.
Some lawmakers are skeptical as there is no requirement for the companies to take people off of the insurer of last resort, Louisiana citizens.
There is no commitment, no guarantee that those policies will be taken from citizens' rolls. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
One legislator was an insurance agent and praised the program that was used after Hurricane Katrina and Rita.
They came to our state and they kept me in business.
Lawmakers will have 7 days to allocate the requested $45 million into the incentive fund. The special session runs from January 30th to February 5th. For your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
And of course, we'll be covering it. Meanwhile, home builders say it's time to build stronger homes to help ease insurance companies' concerns. The former president of the Association of Home Builders says new building regulations can help new and old homes in a storm. The building code was updated on the first of the year. It would require a new roof installation include taped joints. The association also believes the incentive fund will bring insurance companies back life after Hurricane Katrina.
We got reasonable insurance. We had a building code in place. They felt comfortable. They had, strong enough homes to insure, et cetera. And it'll work again. We got to have insurance to build and sell houses.
The association wants to get the word out to people who may have replaced their roofs after Hurricane Ida before the requirement went in place. They also hope to receive recommendations when it comes to the new code. The U.S. Department of Justice says it believes the Louisiana Department of Public Safety and Corrections has violated inmates' 14th Amendment by keeping them in custody beyond their release date. Anam Siddiqui talked with advocates about the DOJ report.
A 2-year long investigation found the Louisiana Department of Correction violating the 14th Amendment. The United States Justice Department says the Louisiana DOC has been holding people in jail past their release date. The feds report this has been going on for more than 10 years.
These kind of violations we've heard about for many years. This is unacceptable.
Congressman Troy Carter is calling this unconstitutional.
It's criminal. And it's criminal by people who are supposed to be upholding the law, upholding justice.
A report from the DOJ shows more than a quarter of people going through the system in a 4-month period were found to have been over-detained. Data shows this cost Louisiana more than $2.5 million a year, and that's being paid by the taxpayer. The average length of their over-detention was 29 days.
Our system of laws is a system that should be respected and appreciated. And the people that are made to uphold it create even a greater crime when they violate.
A spokesperson for the DOC tells me, quote, the department has been cooperative for the entire duration of the investigation, and we will continue to work with the DOJ throughout this process.
When a person is over-detained, what it does is it ruins their plan.
Executive Director for the Promise of Justice Initiative, Mercedes Montegnes, works with people who are formerly incarcerated.
When you have a criminal justice system, you need people to rely on that system. The system is illegitimate. It can't even let people out on time.
Congressman Carter is now calling on the Louisiana DOC to take accountability.
I think DOC now has to regain the confidence of the public.
That was Anam Siddiqui reporting. Louisiana lawmakers are taking a closer look at ways to deter people from committing sexual offenses against children. In the 2022 regular session, State Senator Regina Barrow brought a bill that would have added surgical castration as a punishment for sexual offenses against kids. Many people opposed it and brought up constitutional issues. Now, Barrow is looking for a new way to protect children.
I definitely believe that we have to be more proactive. The other thing that was brought to my attention that I do believe that we have to work on as a state, as a community, in owning up to that is that we don't really want to have the discussion. And it is hard to have.
Other members of the study commission brought up the need for more support for victims. They stressed the need for education on the topic and the need for mental health resources as well. Barrow says she has not ruled out bringing back the castration bill this session. A backlog at the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab has politicians and officials offering solutions. Ariel Salk spoke to some leaders on what they want to see done.
The Louisiana State Police Crime Lab is tasked with processing DNA to solve crimes across the state, including two of the most populated parishes, East Baton Rouge and Orleans.
And instead of a specimen taking months or years to be run, it can be run much more timely.
But the backlog has officials questioning how to move things along. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy says the lab should extend its hours to process more cases.
My gosh, wouldn't it be great you could run it 24/7?
East Baton Rouge District Attorney Hiller Moore says getting the backlog cleared is imperative, but suggests focusing on retention.
Until we are able to get that pay that's competitive so they're not picked away by other state agencies or private companies, we're going to be in this same situation, even with 24/7.
With help from the federal government, $200,000 were allocated to outsource evidence on gun cases, but he needs 4 times that to get through all of EBR backlog.
And we're been in that process now for 2 or 3 months, getting our contracts in line and the process in line, and hopefully we'll be able to start that flow fairly soon.
DA Moore says even when the cases are processed from the crime lab, there is even more waiting.
That doesn't include those items waiting in evidence rooms to send back and repopulate the crime lab again.
That was Ariel Salk reporting. Announced this week, State Representative Barry Ivey will run for state Senate. The Republican aims to fill the seat of Senator Bodie White of Central, who is termed out. Ivey is nearing the end of his term limits on the House side. He has recently held the spotlight for calling out other legislators during the redistricting session for being swayed by politics and not representing the people. Ivey goes up against Rick Edmonds, who has already launched his campaign for the seat. Also announcing a run is Solicitor General Liz Murrill. She wants to be Attorney General. Now, working under Jeff Landry, Murrill now looks to be the first woman to hold that office. Under state law, she would have to resign her position to campaign, but Landry suspended the rules for her. Also running for Attorney General is State Representative John Stefanski, a Crowley lawyer. The Louisiana Democratic Party is having a leadership shakeup as frustrations within the party rise to the top. Shannon Hecht caught up with one elected official who left the party and party leadership.
Louisiana Democratic Party Vice Chair Travis Johnson submitted his resignation, saying he has lost faith that the party will recover from choices made by the leadership. Recently, some frustrations have arisen after Party Chair Katie Bernhardt released a video that some believe teased a potential gubernatorial run.
It has gone over like a lead balloon.
Johnson says he was often shut out of plans and described it as a one-woman show. He didn't want his name to be associated with some of the chair's decisions. He also says that there are efforts to get her to resign, and he did not have an interest in becoming the chair should that happen. Recently, State Representative Mandy Landry left the party, now identifying as no party. She says her decision was based on investments on Democrat versus Democrat races and the need for better recruitment.
It might have to evolve a lot more quicker than it is. Our party just for a while now has not had much connection with recruiting or registration or much at all with grassroots groups.
Landry hopes her move will bring attention to the ongoing frustrations in the party. Bernhardt says the party is on solid ground to go into the election cycle and is proud of the work she has done since becoming the chair in 2020.
Coming up, Mardi Gras is back in full swing in New Orleans, and if that's not enough, Washington, D.C. has a Mardi Gras celebration as well. That's next. Stay with us.
This is your local election headquarters.
Welcome back. After struggling to get enough security in past years, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell announced that Mardi Gras parades will be back on their full routes. Hear how she is making it work.
My focus has been on how can we get back to Mardi Gras as we know it.
The Mardi Gras magic is back, and the parades will look like they did pre-pandemic. And that's something Mayor LaToya Cantrell is ecstatic about.
We will be returning to our routes, traditional routes.
With the help of the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office and the Sheriff's Association, the mayor says all parades will be getting the necessary officers for them to return to their regular routes. But this is no small task, getting the number of officers.
Our goal was like 150, right? And I believe that we will surpass that. We're just seeing other parishes step up. Jeanerette, for example. Wow. Of course, Tangipahoa. Wow. And of course our partners Baton Rouge and even Jefferson Parish. But we're just seeing a reach that's deep.
Endymion needed to find officers for about 8 additional blocks, and Toth needed officers for about 30 additional blocks. So no matter the needs of the crews, the mayor makes this promise.
All of our crews will be protected.
The city's picking up the tab, and NOPD officers will not be left out.
In terms of how we're funding, making this happen, how we have made sure that there's parity relative to our own officers that will be boots on the ground.
And whether you prefer the neutral ground or sidewalk side, you can now be confident you'll be watching it right where you always have.
All right. Well, last week was also D.C. Mardi Gras, where many Louisiana elected officials descend upon the nation's capital. Among them was Baton Rouge Mayor Sharon Weston Broome, looking to work with the Biden administration on how to make the state a better place to live. The mayor attended the White House event called Communities in Action, Building a Better Louisiana. Broome wants to work with the administration to see how the capital city can get more federal money to address issues in Baton Rouge, such as drainage, community engagement, and law enforcement.
All of the dollars are being I would like to say practically applied to make a difference in our community. I am very grateful to the partnership with the Biden administration, and certainly we are part of Communities in Action.
The mayor says the money will go towards drainage, community engagement, and law enforcement. The chief judge of New Orleans Criminal District Court has deferred all jury trials until March. According to the group Vote, people with felony convictions in Orleans Parish have been excluded from jury pools for more than a year. In 2021, Louisiana passed a bill that expands the jury pool to include people with felony convictions once it's been 5 years since they completed their sentences. In a letter written to Vote's attorney, Chief Judge Robin Pittman wrote that the summons normally sent out for jury selections are being deferred for the remainder of January and February.
That has to be corrected. We were hoping it could be corrected in less time than a month because we have cases that were set for trial. My focus and the focus of my entire office right now is working with the victims.
Williams went on to say he and his office were not aware of the content on the summons being sent out. House Republicans say President Biden has gone to the well too many times to lower gas prices. They want to turn off the spigot to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We'll tell you how next.
This is your local election headquarters.
Welcome back. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is appointing another close ally to leadership. Congressman Garrett Graves from Louisiana will chair the elected leadership committee. A Republican source says the choice was made earlier this week. Congressman Graves was part of a key group of negotiators who worked to get McCarthy elected as House Speaker. This has major implications for the gubernatorial race back here at home. Graves has been facing intense pressure to run against Attorney General Jeff Landry. The congressman has not said publicly what his decision on that race is yet. Continuing with news from Capitol Hill, Speaker McCarthy is leading a charge among House Republicans demanding cuts in spending in order to lift the debt limit. Several Republicans in the Senate say that's the right approach, but Democrats say Republicans need to be more transparent about how they want to do that. President Biden says he won't negotiate over the debt ceiling, but Senator Ron Johnson says it's critical for Democrats to come to the table to talk about how to raise the limit.
We need to attach to it fiscal controls or other spending cuts. Exactly what those are, we're not willing to lay out here today. We're going to be doing that in consultation with the House.
Democrats argue using the debt ceiling to force discussions about spending is the wrong approach. Right now, the Treasury Department is taking steps to keep things afloat, but warns the U.S. risks defaulting if lawmakers don't raise the debt ceiling by this summer. The U.S. House of Representatives debated a bill that would put a leash on how often the president can pull from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Republicans in the Louisiana delegation have been in favor of the move. The House resolution would require the president to present a plan of how he will replenish the reserve with American oil. This excludes emergency situations. Majority Leader Steve Scalise spoke in support of the bill, sharing his frustration over gas prices.
All this bill says is if your bad policy is leading to higher gas prices, and people are getting angry about that, as they should, you can't go and rate it unless you show a plan, as the bill says, the development of a plan to increase oil and gas production.
Scalise says the president has already threatened to veto the bill should it pass both chambers. President Biden recently drew down the reserve to sell the oil to companies to reduce gas prices. TikTok's days may be numbered in the U.S. One senator just introduced a bill to ban the popular video app from devices across the country, citing national security concerns. Our D.C.'s Raquel Martin has the story.
This has got to stop.
Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley says it's time to ban TikTok in the U.S.
It is a threat to the security and privacy of every American who uses it, and that includes especially our kids.
Hawley says the Chinese government is using the video app to collect data on its roughly 80 million U.S. users.
It is tracking their emails. It is tracking their keystrokes. It is looking at their photos. All of it is available to the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing.
TikTok denies those allegations and calls Hawley's proposed ban a, quote, piecemeal approach to national security. But leaders from the FBI, Homeland Security, and Pentagon have all voiced concern, spurring lawmakers from both sides of the aisle to ban TikTok on government devices last year. Like Hawley, Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner led that effort, but he says an outright ban won't solve the larger problem.
It's TikTok today, it's Huawei yesterday. We need an approach that says we're going to look at foreign-based technology.
FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr agrees, but still supports a ban.
We know enough to take immediate near-term action on TikTok while we then continue to have discussions about how do we put broader protections in place.
Carr says a nationwide TikTok ban is just a matter of time. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
Here in Louisiana, steps have already been taken to ban the app on some state-owned phones, and it is disabled on the network of some state buildings. Legislation is being proposed to ban the app on all state devices. Up next, we'll have a look at the week ahead on your local election headquarters. Stay with us.
This is your local election headquarters.
Looking ahead to the coming week, the special session addressing the insurance crisis begins tomorrow at noon. It can run until 6 p.m. on Sunday. Of course, our own Shannon Hecht will be down there keeping an eye on those lawmakers. On Tuesday, the Climate Initiatives Task Force will be giving their annual update at the Capitol. Also on Tuesday, House Ways and Means and Senate Revenue and Fiscal Affairs will meet at the Capitol as well. That was a mouthful. All right. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics. I'm Fred Childers. Stay informed, and I'll see you next Sunday right here on your local election headquarters.